Hey guys, how's it going? Jared here, Dex and Dice, Ramblings of an LGS owner. And yeah, the move is done. We are officially at the new spot, thankfully. Um, yeah, so I might be able to get back on a weekly cadence at least with these. Um, I still excuse me, still have to soundproof the the other spot in the house in the basement. Um, there's still a lot of little things that need to be buttoned up even after the move is complete. But anywho, so kind of what I want to gripe about today is like Mason put out CNA games. Mason, if you aren't familiar with him, go look him up. Pretty cool dude. Anyways, um, he put out his video about how Wizards is changing the WPN and how he doesn't necessarily like it, which I don't necessarily like it either. But like, what am I going to do about it? I was kind of indifferent-ish, leaning more towards I don't like it, but the more that I've looked into it and everything, I generally don't like it, but it still seems like it's staying the same. I mean, you can go back and look at my video I did when it was announced and my little first impressions or whatever. But you know, the thing about that is it's not necessarily a Wizards thing that is unique to them with wanting to, I don't know, like, for lack of a better term, like dictate how you operate your own store, you know? Um, every card game has their own little WPN equivalent, whatever they're going to call it. It's almost the same exact thing. And it's, from a store owner's perspective, it's actually pretty annoying. It really is. Because if you don't have a TO, luckily I have been lucky enough, blessed enough, astute enough to be able to assign, pick out people in the crowd, whatever you want to call it, to be TOs for the games that they really care about. I have a One Piece TO, really like 3 Digimon TOs. There's, I can probably like 2 or 3 Wizards TOs as well for like our F&Ms and all that. And then, me and Thrillbo, we can kind of operate all the systems, so we're generalized TOs. Like, we don't know all the rules, but we can click the buttons. But anyways, every game developer seems to have that. Like, even fucking Pal World is going to have organized play, when its TCG finally comes out, which means that the Cyberpunk TCG is probably going to have its own little thing that you're going to have to keep up with, and it's kind of really annoying. It really is. Because, like, I get it, you're all kind of just thinking, like, oh, they just want to know the metrics. They just want to know how, sorry, it's pollen season, how well the game is doing, and so forth and so forth. And, like, I understand that from the overall generalized idea behind it. Like, I get it. I've done enough and been involved in enough of the, like, corporate higher up, we need the data, we need more data, give us more data so we can figure X, Y, and Z out. But, like, realistically, what they're trying to do is like a blanket solution or reward system or whatever it is, and it just doesn't work the way that I guess they think it's going to. Just for instance, like if you were to compare my shop with we'll pick on Mason again. If you were to compare my shop with Mason's shop, his metrics are going to be leaps and bounds higher than mine just because he is in Louisville, I believe, Kentucky. I think, pretty sure. Correct me on that if you're watching, Mason. Highly doubt you are, but it is what it is. Um, there's like 1.2 or 1.4 somewhere in there million people in that city. Um, Here where I am in good old sunny Seneca, South Carolina, we have 8,000 people, maybe 9,000. In Clemson, which is like 5 minutes, well, maybe 10 minutes down the road, if the college is in session, there's 20 to 24,000. Um, the next closest biggest city to me is Anderson, which I believe has roughly 30,000 people in it. So, like, just on not sure, my bad, like population metrics, just the little chunks of percentages that will be TCG players in that huge demographic of people he has to pull from, he's going to have better numbers than I will just because there's a bigger pool of people to pull from. And that's where I think most of these game publishers have their system kind of flawed, because just because he has, we'll say, 30 people show up for Gundam or whatever, or his Magic Knights, or just pick a game, doesn't matter. If he has 30 people show up for something, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that he has a more devoted crowd of people. It just means he has more people, which is how they're going to justify, like with Bandai or Wizards when they institute their tier system, who climbs tiers and who drops tiers, or who just stays at a tier. And I understand surface level, there's more people, more support, give them more. Like, I fully understand and can kind of half-ass get on board with that, right? But just because there's more of it doesn't mean that it's like the better of the two or whatever. That's kind of the wrong phrasing, but hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to get past you. And I think that, just because, and like our One Piece crowd, to go on a little tangent again, we have probably now anywhere from 10 to 16 people that show up every Tuesday to play One Piece. But that's small potatoes compared to someone else, even though we started out with like 4, you know? But we probably won't ever raise from bronze rank to silver rank. If you are Bandai, you understand what that means. Just because we have low participation numbers, and they require a certain amount of participation or whatever to go up a tier. Despite that we have a dedicated group of people that come in and do that, we probably won't ever hit those metrics. Same as with Union Arena. There was, before they announced that only silver tier and above stores will have rare battles, we had like 4 to 6 people that would come in and play UA on a regular, because we were still able to get the same kind of prize support. Not so much anymore. So our Union Arena crowd, we pretty much decided, hey, we're still going to sell the product, but we're not going to host anything anymore, because if Bandai is kind of telling us to kick rocks, then unfortunately we have no recourse but to be like, okay, fine, you can kick rocks too. As far as like your organized play stuff goes and all that, by all means, we'll still buy some product and help the people out who come here to buy product. We'll still support it that way. But we're done with locals or store tournaments, all that good stuff. Mainly because you took that away from us, because we don't have the strong numbers to support you guys giving us that stuff. And like, certain scenarios I can understand it, because it costs money to print all that stuff and everything, but in the grand scheme of stuff, it probably costs peanuts compared to what it costs a normal print run. But like, my main thing with getting this across is like, just because the numbers are bigger doesn't mean that it justifies more support. Like, or just because it does justify more support. It just doesn't mean that like that should be the only metric that they go by. It should be like, I don't know, what, concurrent players or whatever. Anyways, it sounds kind of like I'm whining and crying because I'm a small store and like, oh, big boy store, get better stuff. I understand. Kind of halfway, yes, but no at the same time. Because I know that my little store is not a minority in this whole LGS thing. It's pretty much the majority. And if most places are just going to focus on sheer raw numbers of participations, then like a lot of us are just going to get left in the dust. And if enough of us get left in the dust for long enough, it's only a matter of time before we're like, well, okay, fuck you, have a nice day, we'll figure something else out. Like, yeah, sweet tea. Southern as fuck. So anyways, it'll only be a matter of time before we're like, okay, well, fuck you too. Because, like I said in my comment under Mason's video, which I always leave a long rant under his stuff because it's just kind of cool to have someone to yell into the void about, I guess, with shop. Anyways, was like, I told him that it's, how can I phrase this? I told him that, like, on a long enough timeline of maybe this happening or whatever, of us, you know, being treated this way or whatever, like Magic, we'll just pick on Magic for right now because it's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, WotC Magic or whatever is not this elite, super duper, like, profit margin megalith or monolith or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, you know, I don't buy play booster boxes for $40 a piece and sell them for $140. You know, like, the margins just aren't there. Like, they're not this elite, super duper product that there's big turnaround margins for, that is like, oh god, yes, please, I need to carry this in my store because the margins are so good. Sure, I'll run things the way that you're suggesting we operate your product, we display your product and all that good stuff, because you do bring in a lot of money and all that, but realistically, and I hope no one from WotC drops me from this, but like, WPN used to mean something. You used to get pre-release kits. They used to have the stamps. They took the stamps away from us. They took the buy box promos away, all that good stuff. So like now the only real reason to be WPN is you get to sell stuff a week early. It's the only perk that I see anymore from WPN. But where I was going with this was, if I were to just, say, remove buying Magic from the shop, yes, it would suck for probably about a quarter. I would probably struggle until I am able to funnel in that stuff into another game that will yield me the same results as far as like selling sealed and shit goes, you know. I could funnel all that into Digimon, like that's the first one that comes to my mind because it honestly rivals my Magic shit now. I could funnel all that time, effort, and money into Digimon and would right the ship in a few months, right? But here's the kicker. I don't have to be WPN in order to sell Magic singles. I can buy Magic singles and collections like I'm currently doing right now and still have Magic in the shop without having to deal with Wizards themselves, with their arbitrary little tier system now, their tickets and all that good stuff, you know? Like, there's other avenues that you can take that I don't think these game devs, or whatever you want to call them, have kind of really thought in depth about, because I'm sure it crossed their desk, but they're like, no, we're Magic. You have to have us in an LGS or else, you know, kind of like that. But it would be a cuddle struggle for a little bit, but it would get figured out. And like I said, it's not like I would stop buying collections and singles to still have Magic in the shop. And let's be real, if you operate a shop, you know that your big money tickets are with singles and collections anyways. So like, what are you what are you really going to be missing out on if you chose to go that route with WotC, you know? Um, which I kind of hope some places start doing, because there's no real reason to allow WotC or Bandai or Konami or any of that stuff to kind of like dictate how you operate things inside your shop. You know, it's your shop. You're the one who put in the sweat, the hours, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the effort, the cussing, the screaming, the headaches, everything. It's yours, you know. And to have game people be like, well, in order for you to carry our stuff, you must meet X, Y, and Z, and you must carry out these events, and you must report the results to these events, and you must do these surveys, and XYZ. It's kind of like, dude, just be happy that I'm buying your fucking product. Why can't you just go on those kinds of metrics? You know, why can't you just be like, okay, cool, it sold really well, great, it was a success, and now maybe we ourselves will put on the effort for like a regional qualifier or something like that, not leaving it up to the shops to do all the dirty work for you, to give you all of your information and everything. Like, you guys already expect us to do so fucking much for you guys with very little like pat on the back or whatever. Like, oh great, you send me participation trophies, essentially is what you do. Thanks, I appreciate it, you know? But like, having them more or less kind of give you these like guidelines to dictate what you should be doing with their products in your shop, I don't approve of. And I don't it's probably not going to change because there's not going to be enough shops to stand up and be like, hey man, guess what, you should just be happy the shit's selling. There should be no reason whatsoever why you should, you know, essentially prioritize the shop that has, I don't know, a community for the game, we'll say, over another shop that is, we'll say, selling the exact, or, well, not selling, buying, we'll leave it at that, buying the exact same amount of product that the other store is, you know? For all you know, the store that doesn't have a like lively player base or whatever, is there's a shit ton of collectors in that area and they want to collect, they don't want to play. Or maybe they are just selling it all online and they're just making money off of it without supporting the community. Like, I get where you would want to prioritize the community focused store with maybe getting more sealed product than the other one, but at the end of the day, your product is still selling the exact same. And if you wanted to do something, you know, more special for the community focused store, you know, great. You know, give them their OTS packs or their tournament packs or whatever, but there shouldn't be a hard line of you can't get our product or you can't get what you wanted because you don't have an active scene here. Because like I said, it could be collectors, or it could literally just be kind of like where we are, there's not enough people. Like, even if you have a small community, we'll say small, like 2 to 4 people, that's not going to get you anywhere with these reporting metrics. Case in point, our Union Arena crowd. No way in hell we were going to rise up from bronze to silver just because there was like 6 of them. And that's not enough to raise a tier. So like, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So like, why not just be damned if you don't? Like, there has to be a point where shops kind of realize that Maybe some of these game developers are overstepping their boundaries. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, kind of thing. Like something's got to be done. I don't really know, aside from just being like, fuck you, I'm out, like what you can even kind of do. But again, I also don't see a lot of shops just taking that route either, just because we operate on such thin margins, and pretty sure that everyone knows that. So it's kind of like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and not a lot of people like being there. But anyways, I guess guess I'll let it go with that, man. I figured that it's just not really ideal, the changes with the WPN. If it does go, it kind of already operates strictly on participation anyways with your tickets, but like if it does go strictly to just ticket volume, then just because of how sparsely populated compared to any other major city like this area is, we just won't have the numbers to have them justify us raise in tier. For all we know, it might make us lower in tier, or stay the same tier for the rest of the time that we're in business, just because we don't have the population. And doing stuff solely on that seems like it's heavily skewed towards the more heavily populated large cities, man. And that sounds like Southern boy whining and crying about living in a small city, but tell me it's not, Tell me it's not skewed more towards those large areas where, I don't know, maybe that corporate cocksucking mindset is just more prevalent because that's the way shit is, But anyways, I gotta get off of here and get ready to open up the shop. There's a shit ton of bulk that I need to kind of start going through, because we had a nice collection we bought yesterday. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Like, for real, let me know in the comments. As always, sub to the channel, all that good stuff. I'm going to try to do a little bit more, like I said, a better cadence with videos since we're fully moved in now. And yeah, just let me know what you guys think. Reach out to me too. Send me emails about ideas or news or whatever you've heard that you might want to hear my craptacular opinion on. And we'll go from there. You guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you later. Remember, life is not a dick. You don't have to take it so hard. You're a trash can, not a trash can't. Have a good week, and hopefully, I might have a video for you guys in the next couple of days as well. So, yeah, take it easy.